This is the month of Ban Mahotsava, the festival of forests, and as per Indian culture, we are celebrating our festivity in the month of Sawan, which comes in July, August. And this is the season of rainfall. And because of plenty of moisture in the forests, we have plenty of mushrooms. But sometimes we call mushrooms which may not be a mushroom. For example, I have these morels. Sometimes an ignorant person can name them as mushroom. This is not mushroom. This is morel. How to distinguish a true mushroom? We'll discuss and focus on this particular aspect. Mostly the mushrooms which we eat or we collect from the woods, they are spore bearing fruits. So they are called as sporocarps. They are the fructifications, the fruit bodies of the fungi. And what is the fungi? Fungi is the achlorophyllous, non-green organisms which live in the soil, mostly in the soil, and they have thread-like long structures which are called hyphae. And each thread-like hyphae, they anastomose or they make a network in the soil, and that whole network is called mycelium. In the forest, trees have very close association with the hyphae of fungi, and this particular association of fungi hyphae with the roots of flowering trees or conifer trees is called mycorrhiza. Rhiza means root, myco means fungi. So this is a fructification of one fungus. But this is ascocarp. So we have two types of mushrooms, so-called mushrooms. One is morel, another is true mushroom, which is basidiocarp. And this is the very unique fungus, which is, you can see its brain-like structure. Coral brain-like, much branched structure. This is the true basidiocarp, and this is the fruit of the fungi. This is not ascocarp, but this is basidiocarp. Whereas this, which we call gucci, this is a ascocarp. A group of ascocarp forms the fruiting body, which we call gucci. So gucci is an assemblage of many ascocarps immersed in the hyphae, and that is the ascocarp, where spores are inside the sac-like structures, and number of spores either 4 or 8. And this type of spore formation is endogenous. So within sac you have the spores. Spores are seed-like structures, but they are not seeds. Seeds are found only in conifers, gymnosperms and angiosperm flowering plants. Because these are not vascular plants, these are fungi. So here we don't have seeds. In place of seeds we have the spores, which help the fungi to multiply and perennate. So spore bearing structures are called as sporocarps. If the spores are born inside the sac-like structures called asci, one is ascus, the spores are called ascospores. So this gucci is basically ascospore bearing fungus. So this is a morel, not mushroom, but this is true mushroom. Although we are more familiar with our Agaricus bisporus or white button mushroom, which we find in markets and which is also under cultivation, but this brain-like fungus and now it is a basidiocarp, also popularly called as cauliflower mushroom. This is unique to the temperate forests and it is found in association with conifer trees, maybe Cedrus deodara, Devdar, Picea smithiana, spruce, even in sometimes oaks. And this grows as parasite on the living trees but does not harm the living trees. Host trees are protected and they are not harmed by its existence. So this is a kind of symbiotic relationship where the tree is helping the fungus in growing and in exchange also getting some nutrients for its nourishment. So this kind of association of trees and mushrooms is labeled as mycorrhiza. Sometimes the association is only outside the roots, outside the cells. It is called ectomycorrhizae. Sometimes the fungal hyphae enter inside the cells of the roots. It is called as endomycorrhiza. This fungus comes under the order polyporales, where the body has many pores, and inside the pores there are spore bearing hymenium. So here the hymenium is divided into many folds. It's a folded structure, and along the surface we have the spore bearing basidiocarps. This is a whole basidiocarp, and one is called spore bearing structure is called basidia. One is basidium, many are basidia. So on its surface we will find basidia, and they will produce these spores outside the basidia. So they are not endogenous as we found in case of gucci or morels, but here they are exogenous. Spores are bearing on the outer surface of the basidium. So this is true mushroom. This can be called mushroom but not the gucci. So this is ascocarp and this is basidiocarp. This belongs to Ascomycotina or Ascomycetes class of fungi, and this belongs to Basidiomycotina or Basidiomycetes, another group of fungi. So we in the forest we find both of these morels as well as mushrooms. Morels mostly found in spring season, and they also have some preference for some trees. They are growing on under the trees. For example, elm trees, Almus wallichiana, Almus villosa, even sometimes even in the apple orchards, Melis domestica, sometimes even in oaks, Quercus oblongata, Quercus floribunda. So the trained eye can see the spots where morels will be growing in the forest, and it is collected for food. This is again a medicinal morel, not mushroom. This is the another very important medicinal mushroom, which is in botany named as Sparasis crispa. The name Sparasis was given by the Swedish botanist and mycologist Fries, whereas the species name crispa, credit for naming the species goes to Wolfin, in whose honor we have named a flowering herb, Wolfinia or Wolfiniopsis, for his contribution. And this mushroom, which is quite tasty and edible, is collected by the people residing near temperate forests, Duddu, Basantgarh, Bhadarwa area, where they go to the forest in the month of Savan, or we can say the month of Van Mahotsava, and collect these big mushrooms which look like wool of a sheep also from a distance. So in local language, sometimes people in Basantgarh area also called as ped. Ped is local name for sheep or ped fully. But in Bhadrava area it is called as sedi. And this mushroom, popularly known as cauliflower fungus, this is considered a medicinal fungus. It has a reference even in the Chinese pharmacopoeia, and it is under cultivation. It is fondly cultivated in many countries like Korea, Japan, America, and also available in the grocery stores of these countries. But in India, we need to popularize the cultivation of cauliflower fungus, Parasis crispa, for not only for its nutritional value but also for its medicinal value. In 2018, genome sequencing of this particular mushroom, Parasis crispa, was carried out, and which provided deeper insight into the phytochemistry of this mushroom, and it has been reported to be very good source of beta glucans. Rather, the dry powder of this contains 43% beta glucans, which are useful in cancer therapy, in cancer treatment, also useful in skin care. It has health benefits even for the diabetic patients. It is useful for the diabetic patients also for its hypoglycemic effect. It is useful even for the heart care. And this particular mushroom, Parasis crispa, placed in the family Sparaceaceae and order Polyporales under Basidiomycotina, is a true example of mushroom, whereas Gucci or Marcella esculenta, which we usually see in the market, although this is very expensive mushroom and sometimes even sold in the market at 20,000 rupees per kg, dry Gucci, Marcella esculenta, this is moral. This is not mushroom because its spores are ascospores. And what is the distinguishing character of any ascospore or ascocarp? The presence of spores inside the ascus, inside the spore bearing body, not outside. Whereas in case of true mushrooms, button mushroom or this brain fungus or coral fungus or cauliflower fungus, we have the spores born outside the basidium. So this unique mushroom, I think we need to start large scale cultivation, as it has already been cultivated in many other countries, Japan, Korea, China, America, and even in Europe. Why can't we also take a lead, especially the Jammu temperate zones in Dudu-Basantgarh area and Bhadrava area? Mycologists and mushroom growers must start the cultivation of this unique mushroom. Many of us must not have seen, whereas our hill people, the mountain people, they are much familiar with this edibility, and they harvest it during Savan and collect it for vegetable making. So we can innovate its vegetable, but before using it as vegetable, we need to clean it properly. Because of folds, sometimes small kind of insects and grubs or even the pine needles, cedar needles, they may be attached inside the folds. So to ensure that no foreign particle is there, we need to keep it immersed in water for 2-3 minutes. A kind of blanching is required. It can be lukewarm water, and after that we can cook it as a vegetable or make into a soup, or even snacks can be developed out of this mushroom. If the mushroom is properly dried, then it can also be pickled. So Spiraeus crispa is lesser known mushroom which grows in association with the conifer trees in Jammu temperate forests. And similarly, we need to understand how these fungi, not only these two species, Marcella esculenta and Spiraeus crispa, one belonging to Ascomycete and another is Basidiomycete. One is moral, not a mushroom, and another is a true mushroom. And many other species, they all have obligate or facultative association with the trees in the forest, and they develop a kind of relationship which has now named as wood wide web, WWW, wood wide web, popularly called as fungal internet. And because of this association of fungal hyphae, thread-like structures which lie in the underground, and it is only during the monsoon when these hyphal threads, mycelial growth comes together, coalesce together, and it leads for the formation of a fruiting body, which we are familiar as mushroom or moral in case of gucci and mushroom in case of cauliflower fungus. But in nature, they are indispensable for the healthy growth of the forest ecosystem. Without fungi, the healthy forest cannot maintain its vital ecosystem services. As we are in the decade of ecosystem restoration, let us focus on maintaining the ecology of the forest, maintaining the humus in proper proportion in the forest floor, so that these mycelial threads get sustenance and they are able to transfer very important nutritional material, nutrients to the forest trees for their vigor and vitality. So many of these mushrooms have intimate relation with the forest trees, and the forest health is determined by this unique fungal network. So let us value these mushrooms not only as food or as medicine, but even as the obligate association with the forest ecosystem. Without fungal network, internet, which is lying underground, we cannot maintain the various kinds of ecosystem services for which our existence depends. Because only through the ecosystem services we get pure air or pure water, pure soil, nutritional soil, and from healthy soil we get healthy food. So even during the COVID pandemic 2019, it was used in Japan. This mushroom, Spiraeus crispa, was recommended to fight the inflammation in the lungs. So this mushroom has found another medicinal use even for fighting the COVID crisis. Such a unique mushroom, which unless we will go for cultivation, it is difficult to get this mushroom in that quantity where each one of us can consume it for the health benefits, to build the body immunity and to fight the inflammation of the lungs during the COVID disease. Thank you.